first things I made while discovering RC electronics. It is simply a rudder steer sled. I guess this is a rebuild of something I made when I was first discovering RC electronics. This video was published during Christmas break of 2014, and that was about a year after I made the original one. The original one, I just put a piece of foam and glued it on top of a servo, and it worked pretty good. That video was made the same weekend that I made the original $5 trainer airplane video. Anyway, I went and I dug out the remainders of my flying rectangle airplane. And I disassembled it, and then I cut it in half, and then I glued it back together, and I was just to rearrange its proportions. And then I cut some pieces of Home Depot scrap wood, and I made this big motor mount. I then took the giant brushless motor off of my big wooden propeller backpack frame, and I screwed it onto the big motor mount. If you remember in my last video when I used this giant power system, my cheap speed controller failed and I needed a new one. Well, this new ESC is from banggood.com, and it is awesome. It is like, well, it's twice the price, but I've learned you really can't skip out on quality with this big power system stuff. The throttle response is just way more smooth, and it's just built solid, and it has a ton of programmable features. And then I glued this giant rudder on the back. So here's my test.
No! Yeah, it wants to fly. It also wants to dig itself in the ground. It's really hard to steer. See if we can get it to turn around. Yeah, with any speed at all. It only turns its top wash, and if it has any speed at all, it can't turn. Oh man, that thing got heavy. All right.
So besides the digging under the snow problem, it was basically exactly what happened with the smaller version. It was pretty good and maneuverable at slow speeds, but if it had any sort of speed at all through the air, then it had no turning authority at all. And it wanted to fly. So what I did last time is I fixed some vertical wings in the middle near the center of gravity, and I also put a downforce thing in the front to try to keep it from taking off. I then decided to install some vertical wings, fixed in the same forward direction as the sled, giving it some air traction, much like a sailboat uses its centerboard for water traction. But with the vertical wings fixed to the same forward direction as the sled, when it yaws, so do the wings. The wings yaw too, and those wings redirect air around them, producing sideways lift in the direction of turn. So two wings, you yaw, then the air is redirected around, produces lift, and then it moves. It wants to actually turn. This is just like an airplane wing, actually. When it's going along and it pitches, the wing is attached to the airplane, and when it pitches, the wing pitches up, redirects more air down, and then it creates more lift, and then the airplane actually changes direction. It goes up. And I was the sailing instructor for 2 summers. This is actually like the exact same thing as a sailboat centerboard or keel or whatever sticking down into the water. And when the boat turns, or when the sail force tries to push the boat sideways, that vertical fin sticking down into the water gives it traction. And this worked really, really well in the small version. So I cut some fins out of this flimsy insulation foam, and I secured them onto the sides of the sled. And then I used some wooden dowels to mount this wing upside down with a negative angle of attack. So here's my new test.
It's recording, really?
Well,
Oh, that was actually, I mean, yeah, it was a piece of crap, but it did what I wanted it to. It actually had traction in the turns. That was really cool. Before it wouldn't turn at all, but it was actually carving. It was cool. Well, that was like 20 seconds. Awesome.
So yeah, that actually sort of worked really well. It did what I wanted it to. It tracked where it was pointed and it had traction and it actually moved and carved through the air. It's pretty cool. Now obviously the materials were too flimsy and weight wasn't really an issue, so I could have used like plywood or something, but I'm actually pretty tired of having this thing in my house consuming my entire living room or this entire table. And so I'm pretty satisfied. It proved what I wanted it to. It was fun for that whole 20 seconds and I'm ready to retire it. That cool drone footage came from my friend Caleb Briston. He's the same guy that filmed my my giant LED water-cooled flashlight video, and he just got the Mavic Pros, and it's pretty cool. I've never seen one in person, and it's a fantastic piece of engineering and consumer electronics. It's really cool. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll try to keep pumping these videos out. The weather sucks, but I have a huge list of videos in the works, so later.